Have you ever experienced that when you were close to have sex with a girl that you really like, it started to be like a bunch of bad energy inside of you? Even if before, during the date or during the time you guys spent together, you were all the time confident, secure in yourself. You always lead the whole relationship. It was like always you on command of the whole interaction. But now, when it's time to have sex, that's when you start to have all this fidgety anxiety and like worriness inside of you. It's like you have your mind fully cloud of not knowing how you're going to perform, and it's stopping you from having the kind of confidence that you would like to have in bed. That used to be my case most of the time when I started my sex life. Even reaching to the point of shaking, like literally shaking like this, and the girls asking me why I was acting so weird. It was something very noticeable. And the worst part of this wasn't only the embarrassment from looking like this, but also the fact that my performance overall, because of that anxiety, ended up being just totally bad. Right, things would end up with the girl totally frustrated, and with me and my anxiety going up, and also my self-image totally destroyed. Thankfully, today is very different, and I not only was able to change all that, but also to reach to a level where I feel so confident and secure of myself. And by learning to manage this anxiety, I also saw a big improvement in my overall performance, but specifically in my timing, going from those 30 seconds that I mentioned to even around 30 minutes or plus. And how I learned to do that is what I want to share with you today. My name is Jesus Noya, and I'm a Venezuelan sex coach with the goal of helping men to last longer in bed, become sexually dominant, and be more attractive. All this while avoiding the daily mistakes that I made through my sex life. This comes from my years of dating experience in South America, and also from all the struggles that I had to go through, like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, and non-existent sexual confidence. Today I want to share with you the biggest practices that helped me to eliminate my performance anxiety in bed when close to having sex, that actually also led me to manage my anxiety in my overall life. And I can 100% guarantee that if you're not doing those, they could make a big significant change in your life as well. And just very quick, if you're struggling with things like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, and you want to accelerate the process for you to become a sex god and be the man of your life, you can go and click the link in the description right now, and that way we can work together on making that a reality for you as soon as possible. I'm going to be very straightforward with the practices, but I want you to be cautious of what I'm going to say also, because a lot of people have heard of what I'm going to mention a lot of times before, but they still don't do these things. They still don't put in practice the things that I'm going to mention. They think it's a hoo-hoo thing. They say that this is something that don't work for them, or just whatever excuses they could find. And what I see all the time with these kind of people is obviously that their life is still the same, they don't make any progress, and even with all the other alternatives that they've been trying, it's still crap, right? When it comes to managing anxiety in your overall life or in bed, it's basically the same practices that you have to do. It's very simple to manage these things. It may not be easy, but it is actually simple. The practices are right there, you just have to execute them. It's like with people that want to lose weight. There's a bunch of people out there that want to make it like this whole esoterical thing, when it is actually super simple. It's always the same things to do. Just eat healthy, do more exercise, that's it. But for some reason, because people don't want to do those things, they say that don't work for them. That's when it comes all this BS and smoke that ends up being the way that they're going for. I saw a lot of people, for example, like chopping their stomachs in half to lose weight. That's something called manga gastrica in Spanish. I don't know the name in English, but it's literally chopping your stomach in half so you can lose weight. They rather do that than doing the simple stuff that is actually just eating healthy, doing exercise. That's it. So with this, the same thing. If you want to manage your anxiety, you don't have to go and spend thousands of dollars. You don't have to try this pill, go on medical treatment, or make it like such a big thing that is going to take a lot of years for you to work on it. A lot of people try to make it as it is a big deal, and it could be. As someone that used to suffer a lot of anxiety and overtake it, I know that it feels horrible. But again, it's something that if you put the effort in the right practices, it's going to improve. With that said, I have a lot of confidence, 100% guaranteed, that what I'm going to tell you now is going to change and eliminate completely that anxiety that you have when it comes to your sexual performance. You just have to execute and stick with the practices. The first one is meditation. There's a lot of ways to do it. You can do the mindfulness breathing kind of one. That is where you just sit down for a couple of minutes, breathe, be conscious of the breathing, try to not think about anything else, exhale, and just focus on the breathing while you're doing the whole stuff. During that process, there are gonna be coming like some random thoughts to your mind, and anytime that you realize this, then you go back to the breath and do the whole thing repeatedly until the clock goes off. You put a timer at the beginning so you don't have to be like focusing on watching the clock or something, and when it goes off, then that's when you finish. When I started meditation, I did it religiously for around 1 to 2 months, and that's when the biggest jump in my performance in bed happened. The funny stuff is that when I started to do the meditation, I knew that I wasn't going to feel the effects right away, right? I know it was going to take some time. But when I started to have sex and I already have like 1 to 2 months of meditation progress, it was like a whole superpower where I could be conscious of my mind and my body, and it's like that whole anxiety, even if I try to like manifest it, it wasn't just coming up. It even felt weird. It's like when you learn to ride a bike. You don't know exactly when, but you just happen to, by instinct, do the whole balance and ride your bike properly. That was kind of what happened to me when I already been consistent on meditation for a while. Believe me that when it comes to sex, it's something that you're going to notice the changes very soon. But you have to be consistent with the practice. And even if you don't notice them right away, as I did, just have some patience because they're going to come. The kind of men that have that mindfulness and mental peace during sex and expressing with deep love to his woman is very different from the man that can't focus and is just thinking about whatever other thing while he's having sex, whereas it used to be my case, being clouded by negative emotions. So if you want to see your performance in bed and your timing increasing, meditation is going to be one of the biggest leverages for this. So I started to do it right away with no excuse. The second practice that I started to do was journaling. And even if I used to have journals before where I used to like talk about my day and just putting some random stuff in there, this kind of journaling was more related to anxiety and my mental health, and ended up being so powerful that I still have in one of those old notebooks when I started this practice the exact day where I noticed how my overall happiness started to just like flow through my body and my life, and the anxiety started to just go. It may sound like too good to be true, but it literally happened like that. I used to watch a lot of self-improvement YouTube back in the day, like Improvement Pill, Better Ideas, those kind of guys. And I remember how in one of the videos, one of them said how the bullet journal, that is kind of like a special journal with a lot of bullets that you can use to organize your life or do different practices in there. This guy explained how this helped him to organize his life a lot for productivity mainly. But when I started to read the book from the author that developed this method, that is called Ryder Carroll, super chill guy by chance, he really has like this peaceful energy all the time. He started to explain the power that writing physically, like in a notebook, had in your mind in comparison with just writing something in a computer. He preached this with so much like excitement and security that I decided to give it a try, and that definitely paid off. I started to do daily gratitude journaling, and something similar to a daily check where I would just write whatever was on my mind or how I was feeling, if there was something that I needed to address. And at the beginning it was kind of difficult. I knew that I had to be grateful for the things that I had, and that was something that my parents taught me. You know, like for example, when we were going to eat and we didn't want to, they always said like, you have to be grateful for the food that you're having because there are a lot of children in the world that don't have, and they will kill for having what you have right now. You know, the kind of children in Africa analogy. So I kind of knew that I had to be grateful for the things that I had, but the problem is that I didn't actually feel it, like properly felt like this gratefulness for the world or my current state of life. I couldn't feel like that genuinely because there were so many bad things that I couldn't appreciate the good ones. And that's why when I started the practice, there was some kind of friction. I was working over 13 hours daily, I didn't have days off, I was underpaid, overstressed, just a whole mess with my life. And so I couldn't see things to be that grateful for. However, when I forced myself to find them, and after doing this over and over again during the days, I ended up like naturally finding so many things to be grateful for, even if again that was my situation. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's something like magical on writing something down. It's like it really brings something to life, like it puts that thing right there in front of your face, so you have to acknowledge it. You can avoid but to give it some attention, and by being grateful for all these little things, my happiness just started to improve. And with this, most of the anxiety and frustration that I have for other things in my life, again like the work and all that stress that I was going through, just started to decrease. That led me to a way better overall mental state that eventually got me out of that situation. And this translated also in my sexual performance as well, because a lot of times when I was having sex with girls, my mind was always ruminating around things like, how to pay the rent, the financial stress that I was going through, that I needed to work tomorrow again, that if I was going to cuddle and stay late with this kid, then I would only get like 5 hours of sleep. All that kind of things was always in my mind, even when, again, like being inside of a girl. And that wasn't helping at all. It was just collaborating to increase up my anxiety. But with gratitude and all these negative emotions finally controlled or totally gone, the kind of energy that I decided to bring to my sexual relationships was just a night and day difference. The daily check is something that helped me a lot as well. I would say that the main practical beneficial thing of this is that instead of having all those thoughts, you know that usually when you go through your day, you are thinking about random stuff. It's like something that you have to do later, something that affected you. I don't know, it could be whatever, right? It's like you go through the day having random thoughts and some of them just stick there. The problem is that as we're not processing these thoughts, your mind just keep it there for you to do it at some point. And then we just carry with them through the whole week on during different activities. You could be physically there trying to clap the cheeks of your girl, but your mind would be thinking about that bad situation that happened today in your job. And it's not like you try to do it consciously, but for some reason your mind just keep it there. When you start to write down the things, like you literally just say how you're feeling, how was your day, what is on your mind. I think that's the most powerful phrase. You just write down what is on my mind today. When you answer to that question, it's like you're just clearing your mind, putting a lot of weight out of it. And if those thoughts were important, now you have a place where you can just go and look at them. Because now it's writing down somewhere. Your mind don't have to do the whole work of carrying with that thought until you do something about it. You can just go and consult your notebook. And because of that, your mind has now way more bandwidth to deal with what is happening in the present moment. That during sex is one of the most important things that you can do if you want to have that sex god performance. So again, get to the journaling and a mental check. Do those daily. And finally, even if this sounds very obvious, it's something that a lot of people don't do at all. They know they have to do it, but they don't do it. Is solving your main problem. A lot of people, including myself before, when close to have sex, if we have something big that is on our mind, like a big problem, a big situation that we haven't solved, it's always going to be there present. Kind of similar to the intrusive thoughts, but now it's like this big thing that is just pulling up a lot of anxiety and bad energy all the time. When you have a big problem, a situation that you haven't solved, and instead of working on that, you go and do some other activities like dating and having sex, even if you think that you're doing this to relax your mind or trying to take away the stress from you, most of the time you're not gonna be able to do that because your mind is going to tell you, hey, what are you doing? We need to work on this other thing. It is not time to be fucking. What are you doing? What are you doing? Because of this, your whole performance just go down. And that's why sometimes the timing is just so reduced. You end up suffering premature ejaculation because your body doesn't even want to be there. It's like it's saying, okay, let's finish this as soon as possible so you can go and solve that big other thing that can't wait. This is something I did wrong for a very long time, and that's why I was having terrible sex. There was a time where I was broke, in debt, with holes in my shoes and socks. My health was terrible, and all that I was doing for these things was just keep working and working, thinking that money was going to solve all those problems. And as I thought that it was just a matter of time until I saved some money, I kept having sex with girls thinking that everything was okay. But deeply in my mind, I knew that I had to do something about these things. I knew there was a big problem that I wasn't solving, but still I just neglected it. I could be there with a girl, being flirty, confident, enjoying the moment, her body, and the whole situation. But in my mind, it was like I couldn't enjoy this fully because the next day I was supposed to still dealing with this thing. I knew that all the enjoyment from the present moment was going to be over soon, and then I was just going to be left with my terrible current situation. And it was like that until I just put some discipline on myself and I started to say like, okay, I can just spend more time doing good stuff. I try to just focus on the things that I need to solve. I need to work on my finances and my health. And I started to put conscious work on those things. And obviously the problems that I have around those areas weren't solved from one day to another. But as I knew that I was putting work on those things, the voice in my mind that was telling me that I wasn't doing nothing about it just stopped. Alongside with the practices that I mentioned before, like the journaling and the meditation, it was absolutely gone. And finally, in just a couple of weeks, around 2 months time frame, all the anxiety that I had to deal with for years that screw up my sexual and other parts of my overall life for so much time was just totally gone. For the first time of my life, I wasn't overthinking about absolutely everything. I still have some of those old bad habits, but it was just way less. I would say around 80% less of what it used to be before. And seeing where I am today, where I have been doing those practices for around 3 years, I can tell you that has been absolutely worth it. I can tell you how valuable it is not having all those negative thoughts and anxiety just like eating you from the inside as I used to have them before. I haven't felt like that in years. And bad things happen from time to time, it is normal in life. But it hasn't been anymore that crippling anxiety that I used to feel before. So I highly encourage you to do all these three practices: daily meditation, journaling with gratitude, and a daily check. And if you have something big that has been worrying you or causing you stress, focus on trying to solve that first before having sex or engaging in other activities. As I said at the beginning of the video, this is going to be super simple. That's all you need to do, and you're gonna see the changes. It may not be easy, as I know there's a lot of things and maybe inner demons that you're gonna have to fight with, but believe me that when you see the results and the kind of person that you become after doing this for a while, you're never going to regret starting. Just again, man, remember that if you're experiencing things like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, and if you want to accelerate the process for you to become a sex god, you can link in the description right now and we can work together on making that reality for you as soon as possible. But besides all that, man, I really hope this helps you. I'll see you later.